time to end out the meeting.
Nah, we had people on Islam and Islam. Sometimes they do that, but if you could go ahead and start, because I started a new live. If you could just go ahead and go on, start from the beginning one more time. Thank you for joining.
You were asking about the flag and the positioning of the flag, and I wanted to say that and I want to preference everything because I was taught by Grand Sheikh Richardson Dingle-Eel, Prophet Noble Drew Ali III reincarnated. And he taught us to hold ourselves and our flag in high esteem. So when he teaches us, or when he was teaching us, we started with what kind of a flag is the Moorish. It's a red flag with a 5-pointed green star in the center. It says, what do the 5 points represent? Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And then it asks, how old is our flag? And our flag is over 10,000 years old. So we can look at our flag. It's the same as the Moroccan flag of today as well. And why? Because we are descendants of Moroccans and born in America. And we have to also understand that this is Africa. This soil that we walk on, at the earth that's under our feet, is a part of the original Africa. So we're not separated. North, South, and Central America have the same water in our Mississippi River that's in the Nile River, that's in the Negro River. So we're all connected. And our flag being over 10,000 years old, we were taught to give high honor to our flag. We are not American Moors. We are Moorish American. Our flag comes first because we hold that flag in high esteem. So our flags read Moorish. When you're looking at it, when you're facing the flags, it reads Moorish American. Our flag is the oldest flag. The United States of America flag is the youngest flag. It's the youngest nation, and it is the youngest flag. So we hold our flag in high esteem. I had a brother tell me that there's a flag protocol. Well, we all understand that. We go somewhere, we see the United States flag, then we may see the flag of the state, then you may see the flag of your city. We understand that. But because our flag is the oldest flag, and it designates who we are on this part of the world and across the water, we hold that flag first. The founder did it that way, and we follow his example, not our own example for our own rationale. There is a picture that Brother mentioned earlier, Brother Pal Eel mentioned earlier, where the prophet, the founder, is sitting at his desk, and his flags are over his head. They're hanging up from the ceiling over his head. And you can see, looking at his picture, his flag reads Moorish American. So we give honor to our flag no matter what anyone else says. That placement of the flag reads Moorish American. It is the flag of our ancestors. We are descendant of Moroccans. It is the flag of Morocco. With that, I'll say peace unless there's some questions.
Boy, you be kicking it. Thank you, sister. Thank you. In Islam. I like the way you talk, because you put it out there and you ain't trying to be nice with it, whatever. You say, look, this is how we was taught and this is what it is. Don't be coming with no New Jack stuff trying to tell us how we not doing the flag the right way. So that's what I like, because when you talk, you speak with such firmness, and I like that.
I must also add, excuse me for interrupting you, Mo, but I might also add, this is, if you can see it without a glare, the picture of Richardson Dingle-Eel, Prophet Noble Drew Ali III reincarnated. This is the master adept that I sat under and that I learned from. And he was very adamant. Like you said, Mo, he didn't have cut cards. He didn't have nice words. He told us as he was taught. And he was very firm on how we are, we regard ourselves as Moorish Americans. I have him in here with me every meeting so that my teacher can be a part of our meetings, and so that my teacher can keep me straight and make sure I speak as I was taught, to make sure I follow the lead of the founder, because no one can tell him his flags were up wrong. I had a Mo tell me that years ago. I said, well, this is how the founder had the flags, Mo. And he said, well, the founder was wrong. So I knew I wasn't going to have another conversation with him about that. If he thinks the founder, the one who brought this flag to these shores for us, he was the one who went to the president to ensure that our flag be raised for our benefit. So he knows exactly how those flags were supposed to be placed, and we placed them that way. He did tell us back in the 80s that there were going to be those who would come to your temple and try to turn your flags around. And he made us promise him that we would not let anyone come into our temple and shame us by turning those flags around so that it reads American Moorish. No, he made us promise him that. He wanted us to stay on the path that the founder put all of us on. And that's the path that I walk today, 47 years later.
Islam. Okay, I do have the sister on that I told you that I met yesterday. I was doing Uber, and she was just so elated when I showed her the pictures of the Prophet, and I showed her the pictures of the Liberty Bell. I showed her the pictures of our flag and everything like that, and I gave her a little bit of history. But most importantly, I wanted her to meet the sisters because I just think that's just important. So if you could go into your head wrap, why you wear the head wrap and things of that nature.
All right. Well, my turban, the way it is on my head now, situated on my head now, we have our sacred wrap. This is what we call our sacred wrap. And this is the wrap of Hagar. If you know the history of Hagar and Ishmael, and when Sarah had Hagar, I won't say cast out, but Hagar had to leave. And she and Ishmael were in the desert. And they came across a well, and she took her turban off her head, and it stayed in its exact shape so she and her son could drink from that well and not perish. So that's what we call this a sacred wrap. And when we lift it off our head, it stays in that same form. And we honor Sister Hagar, Mother Hagar, by doing that. So it's always a V in the center. Oftentimes there's a V in the rear, but that's it takes a craftsmanship to make sure that your V goes all the way down to the back. There are many ways that we can wrap our head, but when we attend our meetings, we should wear our sacred wrap, and that's what this is. Our sacred temple, wrapped in their sacred way.
Yes, ma'am. Sister Yakita, did you have something you wanted to put forth on the demo?
Sister Yakita also has in her turban. I see.
I know I chimed in a little late, and I didn't get a chance to hear about how the flag goes, but I don't know if you all heard me say before, is that when we speak about who we are, what we are, why we do what we do, I once listened to a sister named Vicki Dillard, and she said, come with the receipts, because as you all well know, our people are the hardest to convince of something or to get to. So they say we talk a lot, but we don't live it. And that's I'm going to start off with one of the things we should do is exactly what you just said. We should never, ever attend our meetings without one. It's not just the meetings. I don't walk out in the street without my head wrapped. I don't always have it in a turban, but in the earlier days when I was into what we call African culture, we called it a gele. because the African women wore their hairs wrapped too. But because we are tribal and always have been, and like you said, you got your Hebrew Israelites, and but if you notice, we all tend to dress somewhat the same. We may call it different, but we always wrap our heads. Now, his story was that we wrapped our head. This is before my getting into the Moorish movement. Is that the reason that the African women wrapped their heads with the gele? That was a protection, because we're energy. People zap your energy. Other beings can zap your energy. We protect our hair because they're antennas. Our hair is antennas as well. So I don't know all the deeper stories, so I don't like to, like I said, I don't like to talk too much about something if I don't have all the facts, but I can only, like you were saying, you know what your teacher taught you, and I know what I was taught when I was with the Yoruba tribe of the African people. They was the one that taught me about the head gele and the sarong wraps around us.
Yeah.
The other thing that I like to, and we should always, because people, I'm be honest with you, you notice people treat you different according to your attire.
That's right.
And when you walk, I remember when I used to wear the sarong wraps around my ears and I wore the gele, children would stop me sometime and they say, "Hi," they say, "Miss, you from Africa? Are you from Africa?" They tend to. It would be the same that if you Hebrew Israelite and you have on a turban with something. Sometimes I have the flag up here, but if you put a spot there and you dress a certain way, and they'll say, "Oh, they're Hebrew Israelites." It's just like when an Indian from East India comes over and they have the mark in their head, forehead, they have a color, or they'll wear a ring in the nose. It's something about their attire and how they walk out that people see them as not part of the status quo.
Exactly.
And people will treat you accordingly, and 9 times out of 10, you're treated with more respect. Because something about the way you dress and your attire tells that you know who you are.
That's right. That's right. And I'm going to tell you, for 47 years, I have had brothers, just regular brothers. I'm not talking about declared Moorish from Bedroom brothers.
Right.
Have run to open a door for me, have stood there, make sure I get in the door or I'm someplace safely. So the covering of the head in itself is sacred, and it does have strong meaning. And whenever I'm out and any kind of situation, people will speak to me. Brothers will bow their heads.
That's right.
Young children today who seemingly have no respect for themselves will say, "Hi, Ma. You need some help, Ma? Let me get that for you."
Right. So, and not only
energy, it's an energy, and it's also an aura about us, especially Moorish sisters, Moorish women. There's an aura about us when we are among our people, and that light is shining.
Ashe. And not only do you get that respect and treatment from your melanated brothers and sisters, but Caucasoids or Caucasians, Albionans, whatever term, they do the same thing. I've had them open doors for me in the supermarket. Hold the door for me to walk through. It's almost like they see you as a goddess.
They do.
Of some sort, and I'm talking about the opposite people. Now, there are a few other nationalities a little envious of us. May not, and they melanated too. May not. So now I want to go back to the flag because I missed that part about how the flag was.
Okay, 1 second. Excuse me, sister. If we can, the sister asked a question, if you can answer it, and then we can go back to the flag. Thank you, sister, for your question. She said, "I would like to know, why do you guys wear only skirts? And so I can't wear my hair out at all." That's what she said.
I don't know what we only wear skirts, so I'm a little lost on that. I have a pair of Moorish pantaloons on right now. So, we dress, and there are many styles to Moorish dress.
Right.
Let's be perfectly clear about that. There are many styles to Moorish dress. And what was the second part of that question?
Well, I think she's kind of saying, because, a lot of the young ladies, they want to wear their hair out. So if I got my hair wrapped all the time, I can't look cute and pretty. So.
Well, you you can look gorgeous and illuminated in your head wrap. However, sister, there's no compulsion in Islam. And if you are covered, and by that I mean, not covered from head to toe, nothing is showing, but if you're dressed modestly, let me use that terminology, and your head is not covered, then how you carry yourself reflects on who you are. So if your head is not covered, your hair is out, and you think it's in a cute style, if that's what you want to do, there's no compulsion in Islam. But if you're carrying yourself as a righteous person, you'll get the same respect. But I can tell you from experience that the head wrap does make a difference in how people respond to you.
Islam, if I may add to that, and just like Sister said, there's no, compulsion. There's nothing that says you have to wear it that way. But I think what happens is when you learn better, you do better. When you know more, you'll do better. So that question is kind of, how do I want to put it in the right content? I can understand that question when you're in the line of mindset thinking that you are before you declare yourself a Moor. But once you come into Moorism, Islam, or whatever it is, your behavior will automatically change. That question would never even come to your head, because once you learn that it's sacred, as Sister just said, that would just automatically become a part of you. That may be something that takes time to grow on you. You may declare yourself a Moor and move into the Moorish movement, and may or may not wrap your head. You choose to only wrap your head when you're at a meeting, and you're doing it at that time out of respect for the fact that that's what the rest of us do. But in time, and I don't push anybody, but in time, you will come to do it automatically and love it, and become it will become second nature. It will become like, a part of you to automatically do that. All of us don't wear long skirts. I wear harem pants. You see, that doesn't make it a right or wrong, because it's not really about the outward appeal. Is what goes on inside of you. Exactly. So we can put on, some people call them costumes. These are not costumes, but some people have a tendency, when they don't know any better, they call it that. But it's an attire. It's a way of life. It's a way of dress. I don't have to walk out with a long skirt on and a turban on all the time. And I don't wear skirts and dresses all the time. Sometimes I wear harem pants. If you know what they are, they gathered at the dinner. They're harems. They wore them back in ancient Egyptian times, So the clothes is not what make you who you are. Yeah, a lot of people front. Back in the days in the 60s and 70s when we were all wearing dashikis. Everybody that put on a dashiki, they weren't the person you thought they were. It became a style or form of dress for them. The same way that when Nation of Islam started, brothers were wearing X's on their shirts, and if you asked them what the X meant, they couldn't tell you. You have to study what it is that you're going to become and understand why you do what you do. Know why you do what you do. Not guess at it. Know why you do what you do. But again, there's no law, like Sister said, that you have to wrap it, but you understand that the wrapping of the head was a sacred thing. But as you grow, don't let coming into a Moorish movement stop you from wanting to be, because they wrap their head on time. We're not telling you have to wrap it on time. We just...
Matter of fact, I don't wrap my head all the time when I go out. It depends on where I'm going, how long I'm going to be on, how far away from home that I'm going to be traveling.
Right, absolutely.
And I keep a head wrap with me, or something to cover my head with me when I go anywhere. So that if I am out, especially during prayer times, if I'm out and it's time to pray, I have to cover my head before I pray. So I keep a head wrap with me all the time, whether it's always on my head or not. My head is still always covered with the grace of Allah.
Okay.
So how we have
hopefully. Thank you, sisters. Thank you. Hopefully, sister, that answers your question. I don't want you to not learn about the Moors or get the information about your nationality because you don't want to cover your head. That's a small thing. Like she said, all the sisters don't cover their hair all the time, 100% every single day, but at least you have an understanding of why they do it and the spiritual and the religious significance behind it. But don't let that stop you from coming into the temple. Nobody's going to say, well, you're sinning and you're going to hell because you're not wearing a head wrap. So, but her response was, well, I just asked because I just learned to love my natural hair. And so, you know, the brother, the sister has a beautiful afro and she likes to put flowers in it. So that's fine. I mean, that's
it's fine.
Yeah.
It's absolutely wonderful.
Yeah, you know, so and we not.
And the step, excuse me, Mo, for cutting you off, but sister, if you are loving your natural hair, then my goodness, by all means, glorify yourself. If you want to show your beautiful afro, your beautiful natural hairstyle, by all means, because too many of us are frying and dyeing and stretching and destroying our hair, trying to get it straight like somebody else's hair. So if you are enjoying your natural hair, then I say all praises to Allah. My daughter is a natural hair care specialist, and all of the sisters that come to her for locks, for all kinds of natural hairstyles, it's a praising thing to want to be yourself and not somebody else.
Islam. Sister, if you got any more questions, keep them coming. But I want the sister, she asked her question about the flag. So while the sisters may be formulating another question, can we go into the flag again? Can you ask your question?
Yes. Yes, my question was, I came in kind of late and I didn't hear the sister when she was talking about how the flag is supposed to be. And then I also heard that our flag was 10,000 years old. What proof do we have? How do I prove to someone that our flag is, because you know, like I said, I like to come with the receipts. I like to know what I'm talking about when I say and be able to show that this is how you find out that the flag is 10. I like to know that. And what position is the flag supposed to be in?
All right, our flag is over 10,000 years old. That's in the Prophet's information that he gave to us. It's in our 101, question 19. And it starts with question 19 when it says, what kind of a flag is the Moorish flag? Well, we know it's a red flag with a 5-pointed green star in the center. And we know those 5 points represent love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, which are our 5 principles. And it is over 10,000 years old because we know that we come from an ancient society of Moors, of Moroccans, and being born in America, as it states now. So our flag, the age of our flag hasn't changed just because we have raised it in America. It didn't just pop up in 1913 with the Prophet. It was here, and the Prophet went to the president and have him acknowledge our flag so that the Prophet could raise this flag for us again in this part of the world. But this is an ancient flag. It's the same flag that Morocco has today. We are descendants of Moroccans and born in America. And we are Moorish American. I was taught that we hold ourselves in high esteem first. They have not recognized us. Our leader taught us so much about why we hold ourselves in high esteem. And that flag represents us as a nation. So it is Moorish American. He didn't say we were American Moors. He said we were Moorish American. He had those flags so that they read Moorish American. And the pictures that you will see of him with the flag in the picture, you'll see that that's how those flags are displayed.
So can we trace it back to 10,000? I know most of us wasn't here. And the Moors ruled for 700 years in Spain. I understand some of the history and stuff. But can that flag be actually traced back 10,000 years? Or is it that we just only have the Prophet's word?
No, we can actually trace that flag. As a matter of fact, I'm sure if you do your research, when Moors first went into Spain and conquered Spain, they raised that flag. So any research that we're doing of the Moors in Spain and civilizing Europe through our presence in Spain, our flag was raised. We taught them how to have decent plumbing and sanitation systems.
Right.
How to put roofs on their homes, their thatchery and straw, and how to put roofs on that. We taught them how to have sidewalks and streets. We went in, and they still have our tiles. They still have our architecture. If you go all through Spain, especially, and many other parts of Europe, you'll see the influence of Moorish presence. And when they went in, as it does with all armies, all military, the first thing you do when you conquer what is the first thing Putin did when he rushed into
Ukraine?
Thank you.
Ukraine?
My brain just threw a blank. Ukraine, and claimed portions of Ukraine as a part of Russia. He raised the flag. He put the flag in. And what's the first thing that the Ukrainian soldiers did when they recaptured their land was take that Russian flag down and put their flag back up. And so did the Moors, and that's historically proven when we went into Spain.
Okay, powerful. This is good. I just wanted to touch on one last thing, and then I yield the floor, and then we can close. But I think the sister's still watching, and it's a couple of things I wanted to go over, because everything I do it in science. So when you look up, you all can't see it because your face, but she can see it because of the camera. But between both of these flags right here, I have the circle 7, right? And a lot of people will tell you that this is a broken circle. That's incorrect. What this is, these are quadrants, okay? And this stands, and each one of these, they're bars. They're these blue bars. Sometimes you'll see them in their gold. But these stand for all the 4 major prophets across the world. So this is Jesus on this one. This is Muhammad, Buddha, and Confucius. And then you see the number 7, which stands for perfection. Noble Drew Ali gave sheiks and adepts this charm to replace the Christian cross. Okay. Now, just to give you a little bit of information, it's white because white means purity. Purity means God, and God means ruler of the land. This circle, this white disc is called the Logos. Okay. That's what it's called. It's called the Logos. The Logos is the perfect word. This is actually the perfect symbol. This disc is the perfect symbol. It's called the Logos, the perfect word and the perfect symbol. And this is the letter, or this is the number that Jesus was given when he completed all of his mystery teachings in Egypt. One of the things I should have opened up with this, but this is just for the benefit of the tape. If you ever go back with our circle 7, because I'm still trying to tie everything in biblically in to our lesson when the sister asked about, she wanted to learn about the Bible, right? So in the beginning pages of this circle 7, I want to read something to you, because this is a lifelong journey. Oh my goodness. Bear with me, y'all. I tell you what, boy, I'm gonna get a studio one day, y'all, that's out of sight, and we ain't gonna have to deal with all of this. I promise. I'm dealing with so much in this makeshift program I got going on. I'm doing some of everything, and I'm enjoying it, but I know it's a pain for everybody who's here and there and everywhere. Okay, so to make a long story short, let me read this to you, sister. Okay, he says, I'm not trying to offend at all, and I would like to also know, is being Moorish more of a spiritual understanding, or let me read this, and then y'all can answer, because I think y'all give better answers, and I like to get everybody included. I'm going to read this, sister, but I'm going to and don't feel bad because you're not offending. What you got to realize is that when you answer these questions, other people had these questions, and you helping them get an understanding. So if you got 100 questions, answer them. And whatever we can't answer here, we'll answer them next week, because it helps with the show. It makes everything better, because I'm a teacher, but I'm also a student, but I'm only as good as my students. So you have to ask the questions in order for us to get the answers to you. So it says, I'm not trying to offend at all. And I would like to also know, is being Moorish more of a spiritual understanding of who we are and who Allah is and making a connection with him? Yes, you got it. But I want the sisters to answer that. But let me read this to you first, because I want you to get the understanding, right? And then I want you to get this biblical. I'm holding it up this way. I want you to get the biblical program too. Now, remember before when I was talking to you, right? I told you about the 7 books that was taken out of the Protestant Bible. So there are 66 books in the Baptist or the Protestant Bible, which means Protestant, protesting against the Catholic Church or the Pope. And then you have the 72 books of the Christians, right? Or the 72 books of the Catholics, because they're both Christians. But the one thing you're missing is there's 18 missing years of Jesus that's not in the Bible. They tell you about Jesus when he was born in a manger and until he was about 7 years old, till he was 7 years old up until he was 12. And then you don't hear anything else about him, but then he comes back into the picture at the age of 30 and then he dies at the age of 33. Yes, ma'am. Thank you, sister. Right. That's so right. Let me read this to you about our Circle 7, because people will tell you things where, if you become a Muslim, you got to give up Jesus and all this kind of stuff. And it's a connection. It's the connection, but it's our Moorish Canaanite connection, not the blonde haired, blue eyed, so-called white Jesus connection. Right. So I'm relating things because Jesus had hair of lamb's wool and skin of dark burnt brass. OK, but during that Council of Nicaea 325 AD, this is when they started changing the narrative and painted the picture. Michelangelo commissioned a picture of his nephew to be painted, and he became that Jesus that you see that they propagate. Right. So let me read this to you first. It says, and this is to answer your question about becoming more spiritual too. This answer all of your questions. This is all coming from the beginning of the Circle 7. Okay, so I'm doing it like that. It says, know thyself and the genealogy of Jesus, life and works of Jesus in India, Europe, and Africa, in the land of Egypt. Know thyself and thy father God Allah, the genealogy of Jesus with the 18 years of events, life, works, and teachings in India, Europe, and Africa. These events occurred before he was 30 years of age. These secret lessons are for all those who love Jesus and desire to know about his life, works, and teachings. Dear readers, do not falsely use these lessons. They are for good, peace, and happiness for all those that love Jesus. Dear mothers, teach these lessons to your little ones that they may learn to love instead of hate. Dear fathers, by these lessons you can set your house in order and your children will learn to love instead of hate. The lessons of this pamphlet are not for sale but for the sake of humanity. As I am a prophet and the servant is worthy of his hire. You can receive this pamphlet at expense. The reason these lessons have not been known is because the Muslims of India, Egypt, and Palestine had these secrets and kept them back from the outside world. And when time appointed by Allah, they loosened the keys and freed these secrets. And for the first time in ages, have these secrets been delivered in the hands of Muslims of America. All authority of rights of publishing of this pamphlet, 1927. Now, what I'm telling you in short is there is a public teaching that they give you about Jesus the Christ, and then there is a secret teaching that they give you about Jesus the Christ. And the Muslims of India, Egypt, and Palestine had these secrets, but they wasn't giving them out to the masses. So Noble Drew Ali went to the East. He was a part of that mystic sacred brotherhood. And by Noble Drew Ali being a part of that mystic sacred brotherhood, Noble Drew Ali was able to get these sacred lessons. So yes, you are correct. Moorish Science Temple in America is about having a more spiritual connection like that. It's not dogmatic in the sense of what you're thinking, like being an apostolic Christian or being a 7-day Adventist, where you have the rigid dogmaticness. Now, we don't eat pork and things of that nature, but it's not that. And you kind of have to come, and I want you to get a feel for the sisters. And I'd rather have the women answer your questions than have me answer it, so that way you don't feel like it's some man trying to tell you what to do. And, it's still male chauvinism and male domination. These sisters are sheikesses. They're female high priests and ministers. You don't find that in the Catholicism. Only the men can be priests. These women are high priests that I got on here. And these sisters have had to check some brothers because they was out of whack. They wasn't honorable. So these are the best of the sisters. These are what we would consider the OGs. So I'm having you talk to them so you don't hear it from me thinking that I'm just trying to run some religious game or trying to get $5 to buy a bacon cheeseburger or something. So this is why I'm chairing and navigating the way I am. Sister, we doing okay, chicas?
Yes, yes.
Okay. I'm going to yield after this question because I know y'all got things to do. But the sister asked, is Moorish science more of a spiritual understanding of how we see Allah and how we connect to him, or is it more religious? So if you could kind of break down what exactly is Moorish science.
All right, first let's talk about Moorish America. And because we are Moorish American and have proclaimed our nationality, our religion automatically is Islam.
Say that whole spiel one more time, sister, for the tape. I'm sorry.
I said because we are Moorish Americans and proclaiming our nationality of Moorish American, we are automatically back under our divine creed of Islam. Islamism is our true and ancient religion. And we practice Christianity because of our captivity, because of our set position of servitude. That's not our religion. That was not the religion of our ancient forefathers. That was not the religion of Jesus. So what Prophet Noble Drew Ali did, when he came as ordained by Allah to redeem us from our sinful ways, he brought us our nationality so that we would be included now in the families of men, of human beings, mankind. Out of the classification of beast or animal or non-human, because there is no Negro, black, or colored attached to the human family. We get our nationality from land and from our ancient fathers, our ancient forefathers. So because we are Moorish American, we are by religion Muslim people, Islamic people. When we look at the name of our organization, it's the Moorish Science Temple, the Divine and National. So the Prophet brought us our divinity and he brought us our nationality. So we are divine and national. And we take very seriously in the Moorish Science Temple, as I was taught by Prophet Noble Drew Ali, third reincarnated Grand Sheikh Richardson Dingle Eel, that we have to hold fast to who we are as a people and give Rome, as it says, render unto Caesar that which is Caesar's, and unto God that which is God's. But we are God's children. We're not Caesar's children. As you mentioned earlier, Mo, you said your name is Powell. Well, you know that didn't come out of Africa. That's not a part of any ancient Moroccan name. So when we render unto Caesar that which is Caesar's, we give him back his name. We give him back his religion. We give him back everything that he bestowed or placed on us as his property, and give unto God that which is God's. We are God's children. So the prophet came to take us out of the hands of our oppressors and to put us back into the loving, protective arms of Allah. And that's how we have to understand it. People think we're talking about a different God when we say Allah. Allah is a word. It's an Arabic word for God. just like Jehovah is a word for God, a Hebrew word for God. All languages, all nationalities have their own language and their own words for God. So ours is Allah. Our nationality automatically takes us out of the hands of the European and into the hands of God. So we're no longer Negro, Black, and colored. We're Moorish American, and we're no longer practicing Christianity because we were never Christian, just like we were never Negro, just like we were never Black. Those are names put on us. We've really never been Christians. We always are who we are, Moorish Americans, and we're Muslims. Muslim is the Arabic pronunciation. It's usually spelled with a U, but it's the same people and the same religion. And don't let anyone confuse you and tell you being a Muslim is different than being a Muslim, except for the fact that they're Middle Eastern, that's their Arabic language. We're over here in this part of the world speaking the European language of so-called English.
Shay. And if I may interject and add to that, Islam, I want to go back to what the sister said about making her getting her to understand spirituality and religion. And we are always spiritual first. If my perception, we're always spiritual people. But I want us to get in the habit, and I'm talking to the sister, to looking up what the definition of words are. What is religion? For the sister that's asking about religion and so forth, look up the definition of the word. I don't want to tell you everything. I want you to do your own research and find out what does it mean to religion. A religion is a way of life, as far as I'm concerned. Okay, so we are more spiritual than we are religious. Anybody could be religious, but there's a lot more going with that. So I'm going to ask the sister, so then she'll be so kind as to come back on the next time we're on. Maybe she can tell me what she found out about being spiritual versus religion. We can go into telling you all these things, but you're only hearing it from us. So I want her to do a little research. Look up the definition of the word. We need to study etymology because that's very important to know what these words mean that we say. Because people say things, and what one thing means in one country may not mean the same thing in another country.
And it's important.
Excuse me. So if we're saying that we are religious, and somebody else is saying, well, I'm a spiritual person, what separates the two? Or are they one of the same? Notice that the sister here said that her leader, who was reincarnated, a lot of so-called Christians would not even go along with that word reincarnation. Right. They see that as a bad thing, the same way as we call ancestor worship in the Yoruba tribe. They're not really worshiping their ancestors, but as people think, I dipped and dabbled into about 4 or 5 different so-called religions and when I walked away from what we call religion, before I ever became in the Moorish movement, because I needed to understand each one was bringing something to the table. They had a different way of doing it, but then people get mad and fought. You know how many wars we fought was religious wars? We need to do our homework on that as well. So look at the bloodshed that was made based on the term religion, because one person believed that it should be this way and another person believed it should be that way, instead of coming with the facts. When you look at it from a religious point of view, and the sister brought to your attention about reincarnation, look up what it means to reincarnate. Because Jesus talked about reincarnation. He just didn't come in. He made words like she just said, English, where we're learning to use. We didn't speak English. So what it meant when he was talking about reincarnation, if you go back where he told them he was the temple. You see, the temple, he said, tear this temple down and then I'll raise it in 3 days. So what temple was he talking about? Because there was no building standing there. Well, so what was this temple that was going to be raised in 3 days? See, just understood that we didn't die either. We didn't die of physical death, that kind of death. We're spirits don't die. The physical that we're in, because we came here as spirits having a human experience.
Islam.
Only to have that experience on this platform and on this plane that we're on in third dimension, because there are many dimensions, and we at the lowest right now. And on the third dimension, in order to have spirit, you have to take on matter, flesh. But when that person is no longer with them, gone. The same way that Jesus was able to come back. He was trying to show us that you're not going nowhere. But again, that's the sciences. Now that's when you get into the sciences of life. And that's what Moors bring. That's why they're called, it was supposed to be called the Moorish Temple of Science, as opposed to maybe the Moorish Science Temple of America. It would originally was called the Moorish Temple of Science.
Holy Temple of Science.
It's changed names, and I just recently learned that myself. So like Brother Bay said here, he's a student. I'm always a student. We are always forever learning. And when you learn better, you do better. We need to. You don't just say, "Oh well, I've been doing this for 99 years, so I don't want to hear that no more." But sometimes you may be doing something wrong, but not knowing that you're doing it wrong. Or you heard it wrong or something. But that's why I said, come with the receipts. We need the proof. I want to be able to prove that, yes, this is our flag of 10,000 years. It can be traced. Here it is, documented. I can't make this up. You see? So it's the same thing in any religions. I don't care if she Hebrew Israelite or Jehovah's Witness. Make them bring the proof. Come with the... And where's the sciences? We're all about science. And everything is mathematical. The world, the universe is all in mathematics. That's how Moors was able to build these kind of things that they did, the monuments and the temple, and they studied the cosmos. We get into astrology as well, because we are part of the cosmos. So above, so below. Okay, so they don't teach that in churches. They don't teach that in Christianity churches. So I'm not going to preach or get into all that, but these are just some little tidbits, little jewels I'm dropping in that we need to study, because the more you study, look up stuff. I dipped and dabbled into every religion before I got to Moorish.
Okay, Islam, the sister's watching. She said this to you. She said, I really appreciate this teaching. Things are making so much sense now. I dropped the Christian religion a couple of years ago, and I've been on a more spiritual path. So the things I believe, so these things I believe and align with. And then she says, what you sisters are saying, she said, Islam. Yeah, so hey, y'all cooking, man. Y'all doing what I can't do. Another sister can talk to another sister. I can't do it like the way y'all do it.
And Mo, I just had one anecdote, because there were questions about this same issue many decades ago. And my teacher, Richardson Dean, Street Divine Minister, used to say to us, well, Mose, let me ask you something. Is there Christian Science? Is there such a thing as Christian Science? And everybody said, yes, sir. And he said, well, it's very simple. Why can't there be the Moorish Science? We are scientists. That's Sister just said. We're scientists. We're mathematicians. We are the creators of civilization. So when you trace us back throughout ancient history, there's a lot to be learned about self and how we truly raised Europe out of their dark ages into some light.
Islam. The time now is 4:21. I like what we're doing, but like I said, we got to demonstrate Act 2. All of our meetings should be open and closed promptly, according to the Circle 7. I love you. I want to keep going because I love doing this, but I realize people do have lives. So with that being said, sister.
And I got to run too, not meaning to cut you off, because I took the time to stop for a minute because I promised I'd check in, but I'm on a journey right now. And I just didn't want to leave you all, and I got to get out of here as well. And it's just been wonderful. I'm enjoying it, and I got to make sure that I cut my time to the place where I can just spend as much time as needed with this.
Islam.
If you can, remember us, 8 o'clock Friday, if you can.
Islam, before the sister leave, say prayers. Won't have walked out on the.
Okay, we just. Okay, we just. Are we gonna table the Asiatic Covenant? Do you got enough time for us?
I gotta take that part. You guys want to run on with it? I gotta go.
That's.
I guess I can.
Sister, go because we are supposed to end this.
Go ahead and pray us out, the sister. You go ahead and lead us out.
Well, hold on, sister. Let me go ahead and read the warning. Let me read the warning. I gotta read the warning. Okay, Friday, January 15th, 1929. Prophet warns all governors ordered to read proclamation at each meeting. I hereby inform all members they must end all radical agitating speeches while at work in their homes or on the streets. We are for peace and not destruction. Stop flashing your cards at Europeans. It causes confusion. Remember, your card is for your salvation. Failure to obey these orders will be a severe consequence. We are for love, truth, peace, and freedom, and when these principles are violated, justice then must take its course. Any member or group of members who hold malicious feeling toward the temple or the prophet or violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement will receive their reward from Allah for their unjust deeds. All true Moors will and must obey the law as laid down to them by their prophet. If they lose confidence in their prophet, they should turn in their card button, cease wearing their turban and fez, and return to the state where I, the prophet, found you. This is a holy and divine movement founded by the prophet, Noble Drew Ali, and if the prophet is not right, the temple is not right. The prophet, therefore, is sending out the divine plea to all Moorish Americans that they do their part in protecting their prophet in the temple. This is an everlasting movement founded by the prophet through the will of Allah to redeem his people from the sinful ways by the order of the prophet, Noble Drew Ali. Islam. Okay. Let me do it. The fallen sons and daughters of the Asiatic nation of North America need to learn to love instead of fate and to know their higher self and lower self. This is the uniting of the Holy Quran of Mecca for the teaching and instructing of all Moorish Americans, etc. The Holy Quran and the Moorish Science Temple of America. Know yourself and your Father God Allah that you may learn to love instead of fate. Every man need to worship under his own vine and fig tree, the uniting of Asia. I now turn the meeting over to the sister so she can lead us out in the Moorish American prayer.
Islam, we all rise to the east for prayer. Place our feet on the 45 angle. Raise our hands so our shoulders are squared. On the left hand, on the right. So choose with Allah, the Father of the universe.
Allah, the Father of the universe.
The Father of love.
The Father of love.
Love.
Truth.
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 Peace.
Peace.
Freedom.
Freedom.
Freedom. Justice.
And justice.
And justice.
Allah is my protector.
Allah is my protector.
Allah is my protector.
My guide.
And my salvation.
And my salvation.
By night.
By night.
By night.
And by day.
By day.
Through holy prophet.
Through his holy prophet.
Ali.
Drew Ali.
Ali.
Amen.
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 All right. We are going to officially convene. I'm going to bang the gavel. This meeting.
I know the sister has to go, but I want to read this holy covenant because it should be read at the end of every meeting. We should leave out on this.
That's fine, sister. Go ahead and read the Asiatic covenant.
Chapter 25, the holy covenant of the Asiatic nation. And for time's sake, I'll say you all after me because it's difficult because everybody's not repeating this time. Ye are the children of one father, provided for by his care, and the breast of one mother has given thee suck. Let the bonds of faith, therefore, unite thee with thy brothers, that peace and happiness may dwell in thy father's house. And when ye separate in the world, remember the relation that binds you to love and unity, and prefer not a stranger before thine own blood. If thy brother is in adversity, assist him. If thy sister is in trouble, forsake her not. So shall the fortunes of thy father contribute to the support of the whole race, and his care be continued to you all through your love for each other. Peace.
Peace. We thank you all for coming. We thank you all for listening. Join us this coming Friday at 8:30 p.m. for our Holy Day services, Eastern Standard Time. If you like what you heard today, you're more than welcome to come back. If you have not proclaimed your nationality and you do not have a nationality card, inbox me for details about how you can get your nationality card and proclaim your nationality as a Moorish American and annex the ill obey to the end of your name. We thank you all for coming. We thank you all for listening. With our ancient greeting, Islam and peace.
Peace. Peace and love.